taking these significant resources that we have as a nation, instead of channeling it into more critical areas like healthcare, education, infrastructure. Some governors are seen more focused on political posturing and maintaining their grip on power. And that is what is causing this back and forth between the federal government. Well, the president had come out to address Nigerians during that protest to talk about the fact that 570 billion naira has been released to the 36 states to expand livelihood support to their citizens, and it was off mark according to the governors, who had hitherto lauded the president for his reforms, and they did not spare him the rod of rebuke during this conversation. I mean, the Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed said the president's speech was empty. His Oyo State counterpart, Sheyi Makinde, also declared that the 570 billion naira claim is another case of misrepresentation of facts. Well, there's been a bit of a basketballs between the president, the presidency, and the state governors in this conversation. Well, leading the attack against the president, you have Governor Mohammed, an admirer of true federalism. I mean, he's an advocate of the rule of law, as a lot of people have said, following the affirmation of his electoral victory by the Supreme Court. He backtracked. The chairman of the People's Democratic Party's Governors Forum tagged the president's broadcast on empty statement. And he said he certainly knows that the speech was very, very empty in that conversation. Well, Sheyi Makinde in a newsletter spoke on the query that he got for the 570 billion naira hardship fund given to the 36 states. He said the funds were part of the World Bank assisted NG Cares project for results intervention. The Oyo State government also said the World Bank facilitated the intervention to help states in Nigeria with COVID-19 recovery. World Bank has verified the amount spent by the state. After World Bank has verified that amount, it reimbursed the state through the platform provided by the federal level. The federal government did not give any state money. They were simply the conduit through which the reimbursements were made to states for money already spent. This is what Sheyi Makinde has said about those funds. Really, really interesting part of the conversation. We're waiting to hear the federal government's side to all of this. Meanwhile, I'm back in my role as Edo Deputy Governor. This has been said by Philip Shaibu. He mandated those yet to resume work to do so or face the consequences. Now, there's been a lot of conversation by Philip Shaibu. I have this particular voice message to play. Meanwhile, we're live on YouTube. You can join us live on YouTube at Voice of the People Abuja. Join us live, and we're talking about, it's on YouTube, Voice of the People Abuja, and you can always call to be a part of the conversation. 0808 312 8618. Let us know what you think about any of our headlines this morning. All right, this is Philip Shaibu in a statement. Let's listen.
To reassure my dear people of Edo State that I am back in my role as the Deputy Governor of Edo State, to reassure my dear people of Edo State, fulfill my responsibilities and deliver on the promises of.
All right, he says he's ready to deliver on the promises that he made. And he says he's back in his role as a Deputy Governor of Edo State and has directed his staff to follow suit. He also warned banks that are carrying out transactions with the office of the Deputy Governor of Edo State without his express consent. He warned them about the illegality of such transactions. In a video broadcast on Monday, Shaibu mandated those yet to resume work since his reinstatement to do so or face the consequences. According to him, the judgment of the Federal High Court, which reinstated him, indicated that his office has never been vacant. He also disclosed that he was saddened by the killing of a police officer attached to the Edo All Progressives Congress governorship candidate for the September 21st, 2024 elections. I mean, we saw all that played out. That incident happened on Shaibu's return to Edo State. There was a delivery of the court judgment, and then the reinstated deputy governor said he was informed that some suspects had, been arrested due to all that played out, that drama, if you recall it. Anyway, there's still another conversation had. Yesterday, the president swore in Wilson Jack as the head of the civil service. After the swearing in, she promised to build on existing reforms and bring innovations and creativity to the service. The swearing in took place in Abuja on Monday before the Federal Executive Council meeting. During a valedictory speech held in honor of the immediate past HOS, Folashade Yemi-Eson, Tinubu tasked the public service to be dedicated to work, hailing her for her commitment to work. Dr. Folashade Yemi-Eson must be thanked for her very exceptional tenure as the head of the civil service of the Federation, and we must learn from her more commitment to duty, loyalty, and great vision. She served our nation exceptionally well with more commitment to duty, loyalty, and great vision, and she's got a distinction guiding the civil service role with significant transformation and reforms. This is what the president said yesterday about the outgoing head of the civil service, Dr. Folashade Yemi-Eson. And after the swearing in, Wilson Jacks promised to build on existing reforms. On her part, all public servants must understand that they are here to serve the nation, not to serve anybody. This is what was said. Anyway, yesterday also, the Force Public Police PRO on the NLC raid. He said the police raided NLC complex floor was used by suspects threatening Nigeria's democracy. Adejobi said the raid was unconnected to recent bad governance nationwide protest as alleged by the NLC. It says it raided the second floor of the complex in Abuja last Wednesday in search of some incriminating documents to establish a case against an international subversive element who is a threat to Nigeria's democracy. The force spokesman Muyiwa Adejobi said on television yesterday that the August 7th raid of the NLC complex had a suspect housed by the labor union in one of its floors. Adejobi said the second floor, which has an office used by the suspect, was raided and not the 10th floor housing the NLC headquarters. Let's take a listen to that.
Is that what you said?
Subversion of Nigeria. Nigeria has been under threat for this man. We have recovered so many things that if not for our proactive measures, this is not what we've seen in this country. It's not even the issue of the protests that we just concluded. That this man has been fingered in promoting this. This particular one, planning to have back-to-back certain things for more than a year. So we have plans that people want to run down Nigeria. We have plans that people want to destroy our democracy, to destroy our common heritage called Nigeria. And we cannot keep quiet. Because we don't come out to give people information back to back doesn't mean we don't know what we're doing. So here we have information. You can't claim to be more Roman Catholic than the Pope. We investigate, we have information, and we know. So at least for once, let us have that belief and trust in our system. We are saying we went for a target, we got our target to an extent, we have made recoveries to save Nigeria from the hands of these people. Subversive elements, subversive actions, subversive intent to run down this country, not only Nigeria. Other African countries
this is involved. A notorious personality.
And we are even talking of global events now. So we have spread our tentacles and we have widened the scope of our investigation to even assist other.
All right. Well, that was the voice of Muyiwa Adejobi, the Force PRO, talking about what exactly happened with the NLC raid. He said that there was a subversive element who is a threat to Nigeria's democracy. They got intel that he's been housed, not necessarily housed by the NLC, but in a tenant landlord arrangement with the NLC. That individual has a shop on the second floor of the NLC building, the complex, right? And so it wasn't a raid on the NLC as NLC has claimed. Rather, it was due to their power of the power of ingress. They stormed that building and they got the information, the documents that they needed to ensure that they do, they get as much information as needed to apprehend this particular individual. He made a lot of very interesting conversations about that individual. We'll be checking them out on the other side. That's on the arena. Make sure you join us for that conversation. Meanwhile, the Rivers State politics, the APC politics in Rivers State has taken a new turn. Court has sacked the Okocha-led CTC, the caretaker committee, and reinstated Emeka Bekele as the party chairman. A Rivers State High Court presided over by Justice Sika Aprioku in Port Harcourt has sacked the caretaker committee of the APC in the state, led by Tony Okocha, as inaugurated by the NWC of the party. Some members of the party, Sam Etetegwong, Banath Ezemo Ye, and others, had filed a suit seeking that Chief Emeka Bekele's leadership of the party be reinstated after they were suspended and subsequently removed from office by the national leadership of the APC. However, Justice Aprioku, during his ruling yesterday, issued a perpetual injunction restraining Okocha's led CTC from distracting the Bekele's APC leadership pending the expiration of their 4-year tenure. The court also told the national leadership of the APC to recognize Bekele's executive as authentic leadership of the party till the expiration of their tenure. Justice Aprioku further slammed INEC for supporting this dissolution of elected executives of the APC throughout the suit. He therefore cautioned that leadership of the political parties must learn to obey their constitution and stop acting recklessly and in impunity in managing their own party. There's so much conversation that needs to be had, especially with the APC in Rivers State. We know that an Amaechi is a very, very close associate with Emeka Bekele. So is that a way for an Amaechi to return to the party's leadership in Rivers State? We'll be checking that out in a moment with Rufai Oseni as well as with Mr. Larry. I'll get his 2 cents on that matter as well. Meanwhile, this was Emeka Bekele's reaction to that court judgment. Let's listen.
Crime whatsoever. But I believe that Nigeria have looked into the matter and believe that we have not committed any crime. That's why they've given this judgment today. And as a member of All Progressive Congress, where our president is a Democrat, clear Democrat, we want to congratulate ourselves coming back to do our assignment as a party. And what party believe members, majority decided of politics, nothing more than that. You cannot just everybody out of your party. If you just people, you cannot be able to get it. What we are talking about parties are all about number. We want to thank the judiciary for giving this judgment today, and we'll stand by the judgment.
In his response, we had a Tony Okocha. He also had a response for Emeka Bekele and that court judgment. Let's take a listen.
Would challenge this judgment that will not even stand the test of time. Even a small child will have done it. The rule and what is strike there is intra-party matter. Court, remove your hand. What have they done? They have delved into intra-party matter to decide for the party who their chairman is. And I know that the party will say no to it. So what's my worry?
All right, we'll be getting on with our conversation with Rufai Oseni this morning. There's a lot to touch upon. The president commissioning CNG buses. I mean, we've been calling on the president to get on with some of these promises that he made Nigerians when he removed fuel subsidy. He talked about CNG buses that will be distributed to all the states. He also talked about making sure that they are available to public use. All right, we have Mr. Rufai on the phone this morning. Good morning and welcome.
Morning.
All right, I just want to say that we're live on YouTube. Join us on YouTube, Voice of the People Abuja. You can join us live as well as call the studio line 0808-312-8618. That is the number to call to be a part of the conversation, 0808-312-8618. Good morning. Mr. Rufai, yesterday The president commissioned some CNG buses, about 30 CNG buses, to ease the hardship on transportation in Abuja. I mean, we've been calling out the president to deliver on some of the promises he made when he removed fuel subsidy. How much of a feat is this?
That's a good one, but the question is, what's the availability of the CNG itself? How many stations are producing the CNG? How readily available is it? I mean, those are the questions we should answer. Once we can answer that question, we'll become a lot better. So it's not just about just commissioning, but availability of the CNG itself is another factor.
I mean, there was conversation about making sure that all NNPC outlets would have CNG ready for dispersal to Nigerians. I don't know how far that has gone.
It's not that easy. You need a proper gas infrastructure. We're still working on a couple of other gas plants. Proper gas infrastructure is not that easy.
All right, we'll watch and see how that plays out. Meanwhile, Mr. Rufai, there's so much that happened over the course of the day. There was a conversation with the police and the NLC. The police has come out to talk about the fact that a known subversive element is who they were chasing when they raided the NLC complex. And they said they did not raid the NLC offices, that they went directly to the second floor where this particular individual is said to be a tenant in the complex of the NLC. I mean, a lot of Nigerians, it's been met with mixed reaction. Is the police saying the truth, or is this another lie?
So why didn't they talk all this while? I mean, those are the problems we have in this country. You didn't talk all this while. You are claiming there's a turnout now, after the story has been allowed to fester. I mean, a lot of people now see it begins to look somehow suspect. Because you didn't speak all this while. You raided the place of the NLC. So if the NLC had not shouted, then so those are the problems, Kessie. And that's why we keep saying we can't keep living like a gulag. We can't keep living like a gulag. Now you are claiming it's a tenant you read it. Can you imagine that?
The police had mentioned the power of ingress and the ability to get into any building without, following procedure, getting a court order or a warrant and all of that.
Really, but there's no need for a search and arrest warrant, right? So that means anybody too can just have the power of ingress and destroy property and move away with it. We're not in a gestaporic state. Let's never forget that. Because they're beginning to make it like though we're in a gestapo. We can't make it that way. You just go in there, you foment a rage, which will cost to nothing, right? Is that how democracy works?
But if really there's a terrorist, right? If really there's a terrorist, shouldn't our focus be on who this terrorist is? Why exactly the NLC would be renting an apartment or a building to this particular individual? Did they not do their checks?
Are you terrorist there?
I can hear you.
I think you finally verified that there was a terrorist there.
I mean, what more credible source than the first PPRO?
Really? So the police is a more credible source. Anyway, let me tell you some of the things that they've said that are not true. And when the police come out to make a statement. You remember the bombing a couple of years in Kano? That the police came out to say that the story was different. That was not the case. And we finally found out that the police were telling puppies. So because the first PRO says he's a terrorist, so we should all...
Hello, Mr. Rufai. Hello. Mr. Rufai, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, guys.
I didn't hear what you said.
I said we are not fools in this country, guess enough. Now, after 3 to 4 days, they now came out to say there was a terrorist in there. That's why they raided. After at first, everybody denied and acted dumb. That they didn't know what happened. The DSS denied, everybody denied. They now say it's a terrorist. And you are saying, no, probably the source is the police spokesperson. So why didn't you speak all this while that the terrorist activity was carried out? Guess we are not dumb in this country now. Yeah? We can't all be fools now.
So will the police go as far as creating an imaginary suspect just to own up to the fact that they raided the NLC? Is it a better option to come up with an imaginary terrorist, build the story about this individual and sell it to Nigerians just to exonerate themselves from raiding the NLC?
It's also like asking me that, do people say anything to save face? I'm throwing the question back to you. Do you think people will say anything to save face?
Mr. Rufai, at this point, I don't know how to answer that question because this is the police that we're talking about. The police they've said it time and time again that the police is your
Hang on a
friend.
minute. The same police that told you that they didn't shoot live rounds during the protest, and we saw live rounds being shot. The same police that told you that they didn't shoot live rounds. But in the process, the same police that told you that one of their members died in the protest and he miraculously resurrected.
It could be misinformation now, Mr. Rufai.
So who created the first misinformation? The same police that told you that no live round was shot during the protest, and we saw live rounds and people died. So all the people that died, why did they die? They just died like that. They just said, "Oh, protest happening, let me die," and they died.
They said it was the tear gas canisters now.
Oh, and you had gunshot wounds on people, right?
Mr. Rufai, but police is your friend.
I know. Now, my friend, we are very good friends.
So who are we believing at this point now? Mr. Rufai, what's the verdict on this?
I'm just saying, inquire for yourself. Ask questions. All of a sudden, it's a terrorist that they were going to find in the NLC building that looked too good to be true. After close to a week of denial here and there, why were they not quick to come out to say on the one that it was a terrorist they are going to find there?
All right. I think we should move on from this story. Maybe when we hear NLC's response, we'll come back and touch upon it.
No, but NLC has given you their response long ago, and they've condemned this gestatoric action. So after NLC gave the response, we're waiting for who did it because DSS denied. Now the police has taken the fall, said they were looking for terrorists. And they didn't say all this while that, we conducted a terrorist action.
I mean, if there was a terrorist, why didn't they even communicate with the NLC? If it was a case of the tenant and the landlord, they would have communicated with the landlord to get more details.
And that's why I say it's best you ask questions. So.
All right. So we have somebody else who is back in his role as Edo Deputy State Governor. He says he's ready to resume work, and he has mandated all those under his leadership to resume work or face consequences. I mean, we saw the drama that played out when he got that court judgment when he was returning into the Edo State. We saw how violent it became. A policeman lost his life as well as a result of that. So him returning into office, how much importance is this for the people of Edo State?
No. There's a court order. Because the Edo State government released a statement yesterday, said they don't understand why he's coming back. No. Let's respect the courts. There's a case pending till the 24th of September. Except the court rules otherwise after.
Hello.
It's a declaration. Let's because this is a state government going against the court, and this is the same state government that want the courts to be in their favor. So let's just respect it. We cannot just destroy our judiciary.
Mr. Rufai, this issue of selective, I don't know what to call it now, selective acceptance of judgments in terms of court judgments, right? Who started this trend? Because it now seems to be the new order of the day. You pick the one you want, you ignore the other one that you don't want. Who started this lawlessness?
That's the kind of country we're building. And you see, all of this we're building, it's going to have an end someday, yes. You can't build lawlessness. You can't build strife and hardship and ignorance, and you expect people to go scot-free. So we should start by respecting the rule of law. Pure and simple. You might not like Shoaibu, but the question is, does he have a judgment? Does judgment say he should be reinstated? That's just it. That's his bona fide.
All right. I mean, this whole issue in Edo State, we're hoping that we let peace reign, because it's a very confusing situation. How can the governor be PDP, the deputy governor be APC? Obviously, there's going to be a bit of a clash right there. But then again, if you look at it, you have to also look at the fact that elections are around the corner for Edo State. So we're watching to see how all the drama will play out between those that have the party ticket and those who are expected, who were expected to have the party ticket.
In governor, there's not in a leader and his supporting leader or deputy being of different parties. What if you have a coalition government? It's because Nigerians have not been politically developed to the extent that, like in other countries, where you vote in a coalition government because you want checks and balances. So there's no big deal about a leader and a deputy being in different political parties. There's no big deal.
All right. Mr. Rufai, the president yesterday swore in Didi Wilson-Jack as the head of the civil service. After the swearing in, she promised to build on existing reforms and bring innovations and creativity to the service. I mean, we've seen the civil service get to this position that it's at the moment. I'm not sure what you have to say generally about the growth of the civil service, but
the civil service needs a lot of rejig. The civil service needs a lot of rejig. We need to make it fit for purpose. It's not fit for purpose as we speak. We can only wish her well. A lot of reforms are needed. It's also fight corruption in the civil service and make it more accountable.
All right.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me.
Thank you.
It is well. Don't get trouble though. That's what it means being a journalist. You hear all sorts of funny things sometimes, but you keep keeping on.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Rufai. Have a good day.
Bless you. And you too.
All right, to you listening, you have the opportunity to call 0808-312-8618, 0808-312-8618. Do you think there's this particular individual who is as the police has described him, a subversive element, threatening the democracy of Nigeria? Do you think that person is at large? Or will you listen to the police today and agree with what they have to say about this particular individual? Or is it too convenient a story? I mean, you had to wait for the story to fester. The NLC had to come out to drag the DSS. DSS came out. I mean, it was such a charade before the police now came out to say, oh yes, we were the ones that raided, but we raided the second floor because we're looking for a subversive element. Very, very convenient, a lot of Nigerians have said. However, the police have said that they are our friends. Should they be lying, or will they be? Is it possible for them to spin up this story about a terrorist? Is it possible? Well, go ahead and call me up. 0808-312-8618 is the number to call. 0808-312-8618. Meanwhile, the WAEC had withheld the results of 215,267 candidates who sat for the 2024 West African Senior School Certificate Examination over alleged malpractice. Dr. Amos Dangat, who is the head of the national office, stated this while announcing the results yesterday in Lagos State. There's a step-by-step guide to checking the 2024 WAEC results. The examination body announced this in a post on X yesterday, and they read that the WAEC is pleased to inform candidates who sat for the WASE for school candidates 2024 that the results has officially been released yesterday, Monday, 12th of August. Now, how to check your results? Using your mobile phone, you type WAEC exam, WAEC hash, WAEC asterisk exam number, asterisk pin, asterisk exam year. So WAEC asterisk exam number asterisk PIN asterisk exam year. Send it to 32327. 32327. You receive a message instantly containing your WAEC statement of results. Please note that only MTN Glow and Airtel subscribers can actually check their WAEC results using this SMS method. Okay, so WAEC asterisk exam number asterisk PIN asterisk exam year. Send it to 32327. 32327. So if you did not receive your your WAEC results via SMS, kindly repeat the step again, or you can check through the website. Log in to the WAEC result checker website, www.waecdirect.org. Enter your examination number, select examination type May, June, select exam year, example 2024, and click on check results. Follow that process and you'll definitely be getting your WAEC results. Okay, so congratulations to those who passed. To those who failed maths and English, well, you can resit for it. Not to worry about that. All right. Don't feel too bad about it. Then we also have in the news the federal government and governors reach a 3-month agreement on the local government allocations. Well, the federal government and the state governors may have agreed to a 3-month moratorium on the local government autonomy over concerns arising from its impact on salary payments and operational viability. The development means that the local governments will wait till October before the implementation of the law in the direct payment into their respective accounts. Now, if you recall, the Supreme Court on July 11th this year gave a landmark judgment affirming the financial autonomy of the 774 local governments in the country and ruled that the governors could no longer control funds that are meant for the councils. Now, the Apex Court also directed the AGF to pay local government allocations directly to their accounts, as it declared the non-remittance of funds by the State Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit issued a regulation effective from June 1st, 2019, which banned transactions on state and local government joint accounts funds. The funds were sent directly to the accounts of the local government. It also limited cash withdrawals from local government accounts to a maximum amount of 500,000 naira per day, with penalties for banks that failed to comply. So the Nigerian governors, under the aegis of the Nigerian Governors Forum, kicked against this regulation, and the NFIU eventually capitulated. So the status quo was maintained until May, when the AGF, Lateef Fagbemi, filed the suit, and then the Supreme Court gave their own injunction. So now the governors are seeming to find another way to stall this particular case from getting on, the particular judgment that the court gave from getting on. It's really interesting to see all that is playing out with the governors. I don't know what's in they fear at this point, because under the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, there was that regulation issued by the NFIU that banned transactions on state and local government joint accounts. The funds were sent directly to the accounts of the local government, right? And then not only that, it limited funds, cash withdrawals from local government accounts to 500,000 naira per day. So you couldn't withdraw from the local government account more than 500,000 naira. And then there were penalties for banks who did not comply. So we had the Nigerian governors under the NGF kicking against that regulation, and then eventually the NFIU stayed that particular regulation. Now we're seeing another attempt by the AGF to restore another attempt by the APC government, some will say, to restore a certain level of power to the local government area and local government councils rather, and we're seeing the governors fighting that. Well, we'll watch and see all that plays out and how it would affect Nigerians as a whole. Meanwhile, I have a conversation with Mr. Larry this morning talking about the police raiding the NLC, the power of ingress, whatever that means, how it affects this particular case. Can the police raid a building without proper documentation? We'll be checking that out in just a bit. Meanwhile, let's take a break. I'll be back in a moment to have a conversation with Larry.